a lot of beginners who begin their fish farms with just single pond, though they are fully aware of sorting their fish. And I visited a farm recently and I did flotation system for them, recycle system, and I had 1 pond. And ideally, the pond should take about 1,000 or 1,200 when I did the calculation of the stocking capacity. But they stock 2,500 catfish. What I asked and they said, what? You have overcrowded them. And they told me that they are still going to buy additional pond and sort them maybe in a few months' time. That's their plan. That's why they stock them more. So when they get additional pond, they will stock them. And I said, that's fine. Your idea too is there. But do you actually have to start with 1 pond, stock them more, and later buy additional pond? That might be true. But is it ideal? And what's the best way? In this video, I'm going to take you through why you should start your fish farm with 2 or more ponds instead of 1. The obvious reason, or obviously we can say sorting, but it's not only about sorting. It goes beyond sorting. When you are beginning with 1 pond and you have the intention of getting additional pond in future, what about if that time comes and you don't have money or resources to get the additional pond, or there are certain things that you're not able to get the additional pond? What will be the results? Or later, if you're going to sort them at that time, what will be their implications? Yes, so the best way is to start with 2 ponds or more and continue. So now, why do you have to start with 2 ponds? And why shouldn't start with 1 pond? The first thing is the fish are stressed if you stock them more in a pond with a belief of sorting later. So say you have not sorted them and there are more, they get stressed. They are stressed because they will be competing for resources, they will be competing for oxygen and space. So because of that, they are stuck and they are stressed. And that continuous stress, they will not grow faster, or they will not grow the way you want them to grow. So if you just start with the 2, stock each with the normal size and then sort later, that is far better than stocking them more, that is overcrowding them with the belief of getting additional pond to sort later. The other thing is that it also leads to poor water quality. Poor water quality in the sense that when you stock the fish more, they produce more waste. And more waste, that will be increasing the ammonia and reducing oxygen. So more waste will be poor water quality. And poor water quality will lead to diseases and even the worst cases, mortality. So trying to avoid that is going to help you a lot. The third reason you should not stock your fish more in 1 pond and rather split them in several ponds is disease outbreak. When there's disease outbreak and you stock them more, the issue is that if you are not lucky, you are going to lose all the fish because the infection is going to spread quickly because they are overstocked already, and then that means that you have put all your eggs in 1 basket. And in as much as you are trying to manage diseases, you cannot prevent them totally because that's livestock, and every livestock there are potential disease outbreak, and you have to be aware of that. For instance, the fish farm that I told you I installed the filter system where they have only 1 pond and they stock them more. Unfortunately, that happens to them. There was a disease outbreak, though I was invited, but I went there late. So we lost more than half of the fish. And that was poor water quality. So if they had 2 ponds, obviously when one was affected, it wouldn't have transferred to other pond unless they were connected to 1 system where the water will be circulated across all that. Otherwise, 1 pond, if there's this outbreak, the other pond will be safe. And that happened to me some time back. Though we had 2 ponds, each 1,000 we stock, but there was this outbreak and we lost almost all the fish in that pond. But the other pond was safe. If all the fish were in 1 pond, it means that we lost everything like that. So obviously, if you have more than 2 setup, it is always going to help you a lot. And also, if there's disease outbreak and you have more than 1 pond, you can easily transfer the affected fish into other safer pond. Like if there's a poor water quality and the fish are struggling, and there's another pond that is better, maybe there's no water instantly to change, and even if there's water, to drain it and to change might take time. You can easily transfer that fish into the safer pond and you are good to go. But if you have just one, how are you going to transfer them, or where are you going to transfer them to? So these are all reasons you should start with more than one pond to be safer. Like this farm, there are 4 fish ponds. So if case there's any infection in one pond, the others will be safe. Fourth reason is that when you stock them more in a pond, there is obviously an even growth. An even growth because the fish obviously do not grow the same size at the same time. Though you stock them the same time, but their growth rate are always varied. So now that you stock everything in one pond, their growth will definitely be different, because some will always get more feed and eat, especially the stronger and energetic ones, while the weaker one will not always get feed, and for that matter they will not be growing well. So when you check, you will see others to be growing bigger and others growing smaller. Though that is normal, they all grow in different sizes. But in case you even have one pond and you're not doing regular sorting, you definitely have to get them in different sizes. And if you are still waiting to sort them later, that brings us to the third reason. You are going to stress them later or have difficulty in sorting them, because continuous sorting is very important. But now that there is only one pond, you have not sorted for a while, then later you're going to sort them. The difference or the variety is going to be so much, and you might even be getting maybe 3 different ranges. These are bigger, these are medium, these are smaller. So how do you sort them then? But start as you go. Once they are growing, you are increasing. It means that definitely their differences will not be that much, and obviously when you're going to sort them, you just have bigger and smaller, and that is good. So these are the reasons why you should start with 2 ponds. So when you start with 2 or more ponds, you have backup in case there's emergency. Like I said, you can always transfer them to another pond. Also, there's even grow. They grow better, and also when you are sorting, you can always sort them at any time without waiting for the pond to come later, and then at the end of it you are going to make more profit. That also gets you better stocking density. You can stock lesser and they'll grow faster, because the issue is that the more you stock, the more waste, and the standard they will be growing, they will not be growing much. But if you just stock them small, and then they will grow bigger. Someone might ask, what about if I don't have the capacity to start with 2 ponds? I just have money to buy only 1 pond. What do I do then? What I'll tell you is that you need to plan well. Go with your 1 pond, but first of all, don't overstock them. Just stock the capacity of the pond whilst working on the other pond to come later, so that you can divide them or can stock more. But if you have the plan, let's start with 1, because I have the capacity of 1, and later I can get more. What about the later if you don't get more, or if you don't get it early? So just stock the normal way and you can try to go. You can also try to have backup ponds, like plastic ponds or containers, to transfer them in case of emergency. So if you have these plans, if you have these systems in place, you can able to start with 1 pond. I thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to check out our resources in the description to scale up your fish farming journey. Yeah, visit our store.facoaquaponics.com. You can get all our resources and you can grow your fish. I thank you so much for watching. If you are not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe. Let's grow our fish together. My name is Abdulaziz. Thank you.